how excited we are here about Oz Comic Con finally being able to happen after all of the lockdowns and everything. How do you feel about heading into another Oz Comic Con?
I'm just as excited. I've been hanging to go to another show and just hang out with the fans and hang out with my friends and other artists that I know and just meet new people. I'm busting to get out. I'm a freelance comic artist, illustrator, so I work for myself and I'm stuck inside. I'm on lockdown on a normal day, so lockdown was like a double lockdown for me because I couldn't socialise.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, no one could socialise, but I was socialising even less, so I'm like, finally a show. So, yeah, I'm hanging for it. I can't wait.
And what was it like not having events like Comic-Con and Supernova? I know here in Melbourne, it just felt like every time new dates were announced for something, we'd go into another lockdown. What was that like for you, not having conventions to go to and to not only socialise, but also show your work to people?
Well, for me, you know what I thought? I thought about that too, and I've spoken to other friends, and I felt like, for me, the biggest part was the social aspect, because you can show your artwork and sell your artwork, I guess, online.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool, but face to face, it's totally different, obviously. And it's weird sometimes. It's easier to sell face to face. Actually, a lot of times it's easier to sell face to face, but other times, you know, you'll sell better online. But there's just something about like the human connection, you know, being face to face and being at a table and showing people your artwork and your new work and what have you. It's, you know, it's fantastic. And just when people react, I love when people react to your artwork as well. You know, like that's a real buzz. Like when you can see that someone genuinely loves your art. You can see them buzzing, like the excitement that you normally, when you're a fan as well, you know, when you're a fan of something and you're excited by something, you can't contain it. And I love when I see that at people coming to my table. I can see they're excited to be there, so that's a real buzz. I miss that desperately. Yeah.
And one of the things that I've always found with conventions as well, like I was someone who, while I was at uni, I was being told by lecturers that going into comic book writing was a waste of my time and that I would never be able to make a career out of it and I should stick to journalism and things like that. But going along to the convention, I was able to sit down and talk to local artists and find out their perspective as well. How important is that to the industry in Australia, and does that happen to you very often?
As in, have I been told by people, you know, it's a waste of time?
Oh, no, having young artists come up to you and talk to you at the convention.
Oh, look, I'm always encouraging young people. And the other thing, too, is, like, I teach, I do cartooning workshops during the year, which I've been doing on Zoom. So I teach, like, young kids, and I also teach, like, teenagers, and I also do some workshops for adults as well. So, look, I think it's super important to be encouraging people. Like, I've had people discourage me during my you know, creative career, and when I was a young person, and when I studied graphic design straight after high school, and I had a lot of people just really discourage me about stuff. But I thought, you know, you've got to stick to what you love.
Yeah.
You've got to love, and you know, life really isn't that long, and you've got to do something you love and push for it. If you've got this, you know, you've got sort of passion for it, you should push for it. You know, you've got to push for it and do it because you love it. And even if it becomes it's just a hobby, you should still pursue it because it'll feed your soul.
Now, we're hearing that there's going to be a lot of people go to Oz Comic Con this time for the first time. Tell us a little bit about your first convention. What was it like for you going to your first ever pop culture convention?
Oh man, that blew my mind when I went to the first ever one. I always knew there was a lot of nerds out there and geeks, which I always was, and going there the first time, it was such a buzz. I just couldn't get over the amount of people and the amount of cosplay all in one area. It was just, it was mind blowing, and I couldn't get over it. I really couldn't. Like, even as a fan and also as an exhibitor, it's just, the first time you go, it's mind blowing. And then as an exhibitor, when I went for it the first time, being able to exhibit your work and get face to face feedback, you know, positive feedback, and people like buying his stuff. It's such a buzz. It's exciting, and it's very encouraging too. Like,
Yep.
you know, as a creative, that kind of face-to-face encouragement, nothing beats that.
Yeah.
Like,
and if you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you first went to your first convention, and what was the highlights? Was there like a guest or something that you went along to really see?
I actually entered. I was in my, I reckon I was in my early 20s.
Yep.
And I actually entered a drawing competition. This was a long time ago. It was in Sydney, and there was overseas guests, I think. And at the time, I think Jim Lee was here, and some other image artists from back in the day, and they judged some competitions, and I actually won a competition.
Oh wow!
I know, and it was like, I just thought at the time, I just thought I entered, and I thought it's enough to enter, and I was pretty happy with my entry, and I thought, I did it. And it was my first kind of foray into like, all right, I want to get serious about this. And I entered the competition at the convention, and and I got presented with an award, and I won. And I briefly met Jim Lee, who was one of my creative heroes back then, and it was insane. Like, I got this award. It was a presentation, and all these people getting awards, and I got an award. So that was very encouraging, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was a huge buzz.
Aside from winning an award like that, how important has conventions been to your career over the years?
Extremely. Because, like I said, like working when you're a freelancer like myself, I do illustration, commercial work, and comic illustration and stuff like that. So being at a show and being able to do your own work as well. Like, the other thing too is when you're working as a commercial illustrator, you're doing all sorts of creative work. Like, it's a mixed bag, and sometimes you're not doing exactly what you want to do because you're doing client work. But then when you get like a really good client, or you want to do stuff for yourself, you've got to sell it somewhere. And the first place back then, because the internet was still growing when I was in my 20s, the best place was at a show. And I created my own comic. I think I was in my mid-20s, and I took it to a show, and I was just so scared because I thought, what are people going to say and what's going to happen? But it was such a positive experience, an encouraging experience, and nothing beats that.
Yeah.
Because they're the people that love that kind of stuff, and a lot of people are willing to, look at something new and look at something different, and they were just, it was a fantastic experience.
Now, time to plug yourself. What are you working on at the moment, and what can people expect to see at your stall at Comic-Con this year?
Oh, okay, cool. Well, this show, I've got a variety of new prints, and I've been working on a vampire series. There's my vampire character called Van Pan, and I've got a bunch of new prints and artworks, as well as some preview art from the upcoming comic that I've been working on for Van Pan.
Yep.
And I've also got a bunch of limited edition prints. I've still got a handful of art books left. I've nearly sold out of my art books. Actually, for the first time, I've got T-shirts. I've got some T-shirts that I'll be selling at my table as well. And I did a Phantom cover for the Phantom, and I've got a handful left of Phantom covers that I'll be selling as well.
Awesome.
So Phantom issues that I did the cover for, yeah.
What was...
And a bunch. What else have I got? I've still got stickers and a few other bits and pieces. So I've got quite a lot of new print work and Van Pan artwork to show people that I'm pretty excited about too. So that should be pretty cool.
Awesome. What's it like as an artist being asked to work on something as iconic as the Phantom?
That was so cool. The first time, it was about 3 years ago, because I've done 2 covers.
Yep.
And the first cover I did was about 3 or 4 years ago. It was such a buzz. Like, it really was, because I was like, oh my goodness, like, doing the Phantom was incredible. And I thought to myself, it's weird, I do so many jobs, but when you get to a project and it's something that you think, oh my goodness, this is something that you like and that you're genuinely into, you kind of get a bit nervous, which is weird considering how long I've been working for.
Yeah.
But I guess I had the same thing when I did work for Marvel. When I did some Avengers, I got asked to do a set of Avengers prints.
Yep.
For Marvel, And yeah, that was really like, oh, I was pinching myself. I was like, wow, didn't work for Marvel. That was pretty cool.
How do you approach that? Like, I know for me as a writer, sometimes a client will come to me and ask me to write something, and I just get writer's block, and it's so annoying because it's like I need to get this done. How do you approach that when you get approached from someone like Marvel to do a print? Do you instantly have ideas for what you want to do, or do you find the same thing that you kind of get an artistic block?
Oh yeah, I get it. I freeze. I don't know. I don't call mine block. I kind of have this freezing moment where like I freeze.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh. But I find what I got to do is I kind of think to myself, okay, I try to get really logical to try and stop the emotional like freezing. And
yep.
I get really logical. I think, okay, why did they come to me in the first place? What have they seen of mine that they like? So then I kind of work back from that. I ask them, okay, what did you see in my portfolio that you liked? Or what work out there, did you like that you've seen? And so I'll always ask that.
Yep.
And they'll mention certain pieces. So then I kind of work back from that. And then I say to myself, okay, the only way I can approach stuff is I think, okay, I've got to try and make things a little bit different than what everyone else is doing.
Yep.
Which is what's in the back of my mind. I don't always know if I succeed in that, but I always try to think to myself, all right, what's really popular now? Let's not do exactly what's really popular now. Let's do something that I really like, that's really cool, but it's not happening that much right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So with the Avengers one, I kind of approached it. The reason they came to me is because I did a Wolverine print for myself, just a personal fan art, and I shared it online. And they saw that, and it was done in a Japanese woodblock style, the old 17th century Japanese woodblock style.
Yeah.
And they saw that, and that's what they wanted me to do for the Avengers, to do an official one.
Wow.
And so then I thought to myself, that's the whole point. The whole point they've come to me in the first place is because I've done something with a bit of a twist that's a little bit different. It isn't what's happening. It's not a common thing. And that's the only advice I think you've got to do. Like when you get approached by that, you've got to come at it from a slightly different angle.
Yep.
Or you've got to think to yourself, why have they come to you in the first place? What unique vision do you have? And work within that vision of your own, which is you've got to be true to yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
And be true to your, the fan inside you that loves this, this product and loves these characters and stuff.
Definitely.
So I find that's the thing. I think you've got to come at it from, okay, what's not just do what's hot now, because that's not a smart way to think. I think you got to think what do you really love, and how can I make this unique and have a bit of a twist that makes it more interesting.
Definitely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Perfect sense. And if there's any budding young artists out there that want to learn more from you, how can they get involved with your workshops?
Well, actually, the workshops I do are just local. Like, I live in the Wollongong area,
yep.
Which is south of Sydney. It's about 80 kilometres south of Sydney. In this area here, I do workshops. I've been doing it on Zoom, but starting next term, I'll be doing them Mondays and Wednesdays, and they're on my website. If you go to my website, there's information on marcelobaez.com, and on my Instagram, which is Marcelo Draws. Actually, my Instagram I update pretty regularly, and I also have a Facebook page, which is Marcelo Baez Comic Workshops.
Awesome.
There's information there about it as well.
And we'll put links up there for people as well if people want to see more of Marcelo's work. We'll put a link through to his website that's got all of the information. And I guess, mate, to finish off, what would you like to say to everybody out there before they head out to Oz Comic Con very, very soon?
Oh, look, I hope everyone has a great time, and I can't wait to see all the cosplayers again, because I love, like, even though I'm not a cosplayer, I love watching all the cosplay, and I love, like, picking, like, finding, when you see, I like when you find a really unusual cosplay, you're sitting there, and you see a really weird cosplay that you think, oh my goodness, I know what that is. When it's something really obscure too, when someone picks a really obscure pop culture reference, I think, oh man, that's so awesome. And the kids are so clever with the ideas and stuff too. And that's the creative thing again too. Like, that's what makes it interesting, because it's the same thing about trying to come up with an idea. These cosplayers will pick something really cool, but it's obscure and it's a little bit different, and they're the ones that stand out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't wait for it. I can't wait for the show. I hope everyone has a good time, and
Yeah, it should be fantastic.